This podcast is for you, the modern man. I'm Dr. Truong, your host. I'm an intimate health medical doctor and best-selling author of the book Erectile Dysfunction Fixed. I'll do a deep dive into sexual health and performance and how it affects men of all ages and backgrounds. So let's get started, and be sure to visit my website at sexualhealthformenpodcast.com for more information and resources from the show. See you on the inside. Well, hello there.
Hey.
Welcome to another exciting episode. I'm here today with Dr. William Song. Say hello.
Hello, Ann, and hello, everybody.
Hey, we're glad to be here. Dr. William Song is not only a great physician, but also a very good friend. And I have the honor of having known him for years. And here today, he's a special guest, and we're going to talk about something that will be an interest for everyone. Is we're going to talk about what is the penis size and how to enlarge it and what goes on. So Dr. William Song is a recognized expert in cosmetic surgery, particularly using your own fat to transform you into young and sexy looking. He is also board certified in internal medicine, and he's also certified in American Board of Laser Surgery. And he is instructor for doctors all over the world on teaching them how to do fat as well as PRP procedures for cosmetic application as well. So today, and he's the one that actually taught me how to do penile enlargement as well. So we're talking to the expert who's been doing this for many years and has pioneered and the technique on penile enlargement. So let's start out with the question is larger, better when it comes to penis size?
Well, and first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is a great honor to be on your show. And so this is a topic that is gaining a lot more interest lately because for the longest time, this is something that men have wanted for forever, for centuries. But now we actually have techniques that we can actually increase the size safely. So this is, in the past, it wasn't really worth talking about because there was nothing you can do about it, but now we can. So I'm really excited to be here so that we can talk and let people know what's possible.
Right. So what we're talking about is that before, if you wanted to have a larger penis, you would have to get a surgery where they cut into you and they would implant like a mesh or something that will permanently enlarge it. So there's a technique that Dr. Song had been doing for years that is really minimally invasive that gives you result almost immediately and is aesthetically beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit more about that penile enlargement procedure?
Yeah, so let me just tell you, give you a little bit of background. When I was a medical student, the first time that I even heard of anybody having things like this, I had a patient who was an older guy. He was in the hospital for a different reason, and I was examining him. He opened up his robe, and he had the biggest penis that I've ever seen. It was huge. And I just kind of jumped back, and he's like, "All right, don't. It's just an implant." And I'm like, "Implant?" And he explained to me that they actually did it for erectile dysfunction. They put a rod, actual plastic implant, into his penis so that he can have intercourse. And he regretted that it was too big. It was not really functional. And also at that time, with the type of implant he had, it was just one, it was almost like a permanent erection. So it wasn't very convenient. And that's the first time I learned that people were actually doing this type of stuff. And
How
then,
long ago was that?
oh, that's got to be 30 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
The poor guy
probably more than that.
having that, walking around with that all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So then the technology improved. They had the ones that you can kind of pump up as needed, but it still involved putting an implant into the penis, and they lose all sensitivity, and it doesn't feel so. So they lose all pleasure in sex, but and that was before Viagra and any erectile dysfunction treatment. So that's basically all they had. So since then, there have been developments where they've put where people have used fat and fillers to try to increase the penile size. The problem was that a lot of times people had a difficult time trying to get that right to make it look right. The fat didn't really stay, and the fillers could be lumpy. So when I started performing the procedures, which actually I started doing it at the request of a patient because I started doing erectile dysfunction with the PRP after I learned how to do the P shot from Dr. Runnels. And so we started treating people for that, and it does increase the size a little bit. So, but then I started getting people that just wanted the size. They weren't really here for the function. They were more interested in the size, and just using PRP wasn't enough. And so I started using some fillers, and then I figured out ways to make it so it doesn't come out lumpy. And I think that was the key.
So what? Tell us about like filler. What is filler, and how does it enlarge the penis? Does it enlarge length and girth? And what does filler do?
Yeah, so fillers are substances. There's different types of substance. The most common is hyaluronic acid, which is a natural substance that's normally in your body, and it's very common for treating your face. So you have people putting it in their lips, putting it in their cheeks. So to volumize the face, there's a lot of different fillers that you can use to do that. And so my one patient asked me, why don't you put it down there for me? And I said I never actually heard of anybody doing that. So I had to really do a lot of research and look around, and there were some people down in South America and Europe using fillers, different types of fillers. And there had been some complications where people injected it into the wrong place, because there's blood vessels down there that you should not inject it into. And there have been some disasters from people doing that. So you really have to know the anatomy and know where to safely inject it. And it's if you do know where to inject, and more importantly where not to inject, then you can actually do it very safely. So now I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and it's really kind of an art form. You have to just get it right aesthetically as well as functionally, and so we can actually increase the girth, which is the thickness. The length is a little bit trickier because you can't actually increase the erectile length by putting fillers in, but by adding weight to it, you can make the flaccid length longer because it's just going to hang lower because of the extra weight. So you can make it look pretty impressive, and once men discover that it's possible to do that, it's like I think pretty soon it's going to be like breast implants for women. In the beginning,
Right.
it was kind of.
But let's go back to like does bigger mean better performance for men and better satisfaction for women?
So there's this thing called micro penis, and the actual definition of a micro penis, I think you might know this better, but what is
I
it,
think
like
it's less
three
than
inches?
3 inches.
Yeah, three
Yeah.
inches. So,
Erect.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, 3 inches erect. Okay, but it's like this term, like once men hear about micro penis and they're looking down there and they're thinking, do I have a micro penis? And that's actually a very common thing that people come out. They say, I think I have a micro penis. I need your help. And most of the times they're quite normal, right? Because um, so and you looked into this and you said the average
Right.
length
So
is.
there were 21 studies that were done, and I did a review of this on episode 8. So if you need to listen to it in more detail, go back to episode 8 on my show, and I talk about penis size. And there were 21 review studies, and there was one that looked at 15,000 men of all nationalities and races, and for a flaccid penis, the length is 3.6, and the girth is actually 3.66. So at flaccid, the length and the girth is almost the same. However, an erect penis, the length is 5.1 and the girth is 4.6. So it seems like when the penis is erect, there is about an average about 1.5 inch increase, and about a 1 inch increase in girth. And as you alluded to earlier, that most men are about at least 5 inches in length and probably 4.6 inches in girth. But like breasts in women, it's all about beauty in the eye of the beholder and what makes them happy, right? Um, and so you were saying that most of the time when the patient come and see you, they're actually pretty normal size then.
Yeah. So, in answer to your previous question, um, does it actually increase the function to make it bigger? I mean, unless you actually have a micro penis, it's not really going to change. Most men that come to me for it are not coming to me to have it increased so they can actually have intercourse or procreate. They're just having it, just like women get breast implants. You just want it bigger because they feel more confident. They feel better about themselves, and they do it because they can. so um, so I think it's more about how it makes them feel than actual function.
Right, right. We also probably want to point out too that in reality, that those are the normal sizes and not what you see in the media or in porn, which is totally different than what is normal.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why so many men have issue with this because even from a young age, I remember being in junior high school and having other guys just brag about their 8 inch or 10 inch members,
Yeah.
and
Uh huh.
um, so I thought that was the normal size because
Yep.
they were all talking about how big they were. So, and then you watch, then you get, if you ever get exposed to porn, then you see like these men with huge, um, porn penises. So then you think that's normal, and I mean, like as a doctor, we see it, so we can kind of see that, okay, that's not normal. Normal people have normal sized penises, but an average guy, I mean, like a regular guy, doesn't necessarily see a lot of penises, so they don't know. They just assume that they're smaller because I just see what's in the media.
Right, and you brought up a good point because what you learn about sex is really porn or the media, right? It's not like when you're growing up, your parents going to show you a little video. Oh, this is what sex is about. This is the normal penis size. It's not like, but what you learn is you learn on your own, and you learn through those type of media outlet, and so they're not really truly a reflection of what really goes on. And for a man, how often you see another man with an erect penis?
Yeah.
Probably not often, right? I mean, you go in the locker room and you see it flaccid, but how often
Exactly.
you see an erect penis? You know what I mean? I just thought about that. I mean,
Yeah.
for a woman, how often do you see another woman, vagina, and compare yourself? Other than if you and me, who does this on a daily basis, who can tell?
Yeah.
Oftentimes I'll tell patients too who come and see me for penile enlargement. I said, you're pretty average, and you're right smack on average. And I understand you do this, but just know that you're okay. But I understand that like I said, it's all in how make you feel, and it's
Yeah.
a personal issue, right?
Yeah. And by the way, that's also probably the most common question when women come to get their laser hair removal, or if they want to get like a full hair removal. Um, they're always asking, "Am I normal?" Because like you said, they don't have anything to compare it with, so they want to know if they look normal.
Well, you and I have seen a lot of penises and vagina, and everyone looked different. Everyone
Yeah.
looked different. They all
Uh-huh.
are normal, right? And I always tell patients, I said, you are very, very normal, and everybody is unique as well. So, and I want the listeners to comment down below about what your thoughts are about what we talk about. And do you actually measure yourself? Let's talk about how to measure a penis at flaccid and also at erect.
Yeah, so typically, like when they do medical studies, and you pointed out that there were actually studies that they measure uh, penis length. So the way they do it is obviously they're not making people get erections to measure it. So when they're trying to get the erect length, basically it's the stretched length of the penis. So you stretch it as far as you can stretch it, and you measure it from the base to the tip. And so, okay, so I found this little light bulb extender, and so if you're measuring like from the base, I don't know if you can see that, to the tip, so you're going to measure it right from the base to the tip. So this is a little bit over 5 inches. So that's how you measure the length. And you're going to have them pull it and stretch it while you measure it. And then to get the circumference, you're going to actually measure around like this. And then, yeah, you can't really see, but you
Right.
get
So
the
you
idea.
the
So,
circumference
yeah.
should be at the base, kind of near the base of the penis, and not in the
Yeah.
middle of the penis, right?
Yeah, I mean that's for consistency if you're doing a study, but if you're just trying to measure it, you can measure it at any point.
Right.
But
Right.
that's how you measure it. And what I actually like to do to get so when we do our treatments, we have pumps. So so we have these cylinders. So this kind of forces an erection using a vacuum. So there's different sizes. So this one, it says 1 3/4, and that's the circumference. And then so you can just, if you fit into this one, and the edges are touching, that's your maximum girth, and you can also measure the length. And that I think for my patients, I do this. This is more consistent, I think, than stretching. And then you can use the different cylinder sizes to measure it. So, so that's how I measure it. But the stretch length and the circumference is how it's typically measured.
Oh, I see. Yeah, what I usually do is I measure it flaccid, and then I'll give patient a little trimix injection, and then measure it at actual physiological erect state. It's actually very accurate. You can do that right before and after, before and then after the procedure, where we put in filler and also PRP.
Yeah, so Trimix, by the way, is an injection that you can do, which actually causes an erection within 5 minutes, and so that's a good way to do it. But it is an injection,
With a
so
very, very, very small needle.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of men use trimix as an to help them get an erection.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so it's a very, very small needle, and it's almost like painless. So, thanks for showing me that. That's actually a really a good way to measure your erection at home by using the vacuum pump.
Yeah, and what's nice is when we do the enlargement procedures, they actually have to graduate to bigger pumps, and that's very satisfying for them to
Oh.
uh, when they ask for a bigger pump
Uh-huh.
because they
You're
don't fit
right.
into
I
the
do
little one
remember
anymore.
that.
Yep.
And in fact, I have the different cylinder sizes in my office, the large and the extra large, but the extra large is I think 2.5 inch.
Uh, yeah. So I think. Yeah, you know what? I think the pump is actually they're measuring the diameter rather than the circumference.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
absolutely
So
right.
so check
Yes.
this out. So this is Dr. Kaplan makes these pumps,
Uh-huh.
and they
How big
make
is
this.
that?
This says 3.25. So this is not the circumference. This is
The
the
diameter.
diameter.
That's right.
Okay,
When
so
Yep.
yeah, so I thought when I saw this, I thought that this was like a
I'm like, oh
gag.
no, three and a half.
This
Yeah,
is
you're
this
right.
is huge. So anyway, but what I found out was this one is like a secondary cylinder. It actually um, you you put the penis and the testicles into this together and pump it. So
Oh,
that's what this
gotcha.
big one is for. In case you were curious why they had that,
I
there aren't
see.
actually
Interesting.
people.
I didn't even know they have that actually. So I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to inquire about that. But yes, so for correction, people that uses the pump, that's not a true circumference. That's just the diameter
that's the diameter.
at
But you
this point.
can you can measure the circumference um, of the cylinder, or you
Yes.
can actually measure the circumference of the penis after you pumped it, because it'll stay erect for a while.
Right, absolutely. So, what type of transformation do you see in your patients once they have this the procedure to enlarge their penis? And when you do the procedure, how much more increase in in girth than with the procedure? Because when the procedure doesn't really increase length, right? It's really more increasing in girth.
Yeah, so I typically get about an inch increase in girth with each treatment, which is about 5 syringes of filler. And then they can come back, and I don't like to do more than that in one sitting, because um, if you have any kind of irregularities or anything like that, I want to be able to adjust it with the next round of treatment. And if you do too much, it tends to shift. So the ideal amount in one setting for me is 5 syringes.
Right, I see. And what transformation do you see?
Well, I had one of my patients describe it as life changing.
Like what?
He's
What happened?
he just felt that he got so much more confidence. I mean, obviously you can't see it, like no, people aren't gonna see it like if you have a breast implant, but just knowing that that you're bigger, it gives a lot of confidence to men. It's kind of a guy thing. In fact, I think probably like the biggest disservice is to give a lot of testosterone. I know we do hormone emplacements, but to give a lot of testosterone to a man with a small penis is asking for disaster, because then they get this complex, they get this all you know hormones raging, and they know that they're small and they're angry. So
A small angry penis,
with
man.
testosterone raging, so
I see.
I mean, there is treatment, and the thing is, like, people don't a lot of people still don't know that it's possible, you know because we're so used to getting these spam emails and things, like, oh, increase your size and all that, and most of them are just spam and scams to just take your money. And a lot of people have probably tried one of those and just found out it's a scam, so they have this idea that none of it works. But there are real treatments that can help with it.
Oh,
And
absolutely,
yeah.
and that's where I like to end. And that if you're interested in getting enlargement for your manhood, that go to the expert, go to people that have done this for a while, that knows what to do when complication happen. And some of the complication is what Dr. Song has said, is there's blood vessel down there, you can get blood clot, you can get malformation, you can get
Embolisms.
emboli,
Yeah, yeah. So
um,
so it the fillers and stuff, I mean, it is kind of costly, but it's not something that you want to go to some third world country to get the cheap material that we can't get here because it's not safe. That's definitely something you don't want to do. And I tell you, it's cheaper than some of the substitutes, like a fancy car or a yacht. You can get,
oh, true.
you can spend a fraction of the money and get.
Right.
Uh,
Now these. Now I wanted to say that these fillers and the PRP, is it permanent or is it semi-permanent?
so there are different types of fillers, and the hyaluronic acid fillers are going to be the safest, because if it didn't come out right, it's going to go away, and it's reversible as well. There's an enzyme that can reverse it. Um, but there are more permanent options. Fillers like Sculptra can last a couple of years, and Bellafill is pretty much permanent because it's micro implants. So, so there are different options. If you're going to somebody who's your doctor is just getting started in it, you might want to just do the hyaluronic acid, because if you don't like the way it came out, you can always reverse it. But yeah, I mean, I use the
Absolutely right. Well,
Bellafill, but I've been
I
doing it for a
trained
while.
from Dr. Song about, I think, maybe 4 years ago, I believe, 2018 or so. But he's been doing this for 10 years before anyone has even started doing this.
Well, there's other people that have been doing it, but I think I've kind of, come up with a technique where we can make it much more aesthetically pleasing and safer.
Right, and we also he also does shockwave therapy to shape the penis so that way it looks more symmetric and more sexy and usable. Because when you put the filler in, there could be some asymmetry in the shape. But with having said that, I want to thank you for being here and talking with
Okay.
me. It's always a joy to talk with you
Okay.
and to share your knowledge. And so, how
Yeah.
does our listener be able to find you?
Okay. So they can go to hungshot.com. HUNGSHOT.com. And on that webpage, I have explained the procedures that we do and the pricing and everything. So you can go there, HUNGSHOT, hungshot.com. And by the way, just to make a little light of the current situation that's going on, I'm running a dictator special. Okay, so if Vlad or Kim or Jing, if you guys, instead of making war, if you want a bigger penis, we'll do it for you. Okay, either Ann or myself, we'll take care of that, and you don't have to go invading countries to show your manhood.
Oh my God! I haven't heard that said before. Dictator. So does that mean that the dictator have to have smaller penis? So
I guess so.
So a dictator and a tyrant and a maniac have smaller penis. That's why they want to invade other country to make them feel better.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, why else would, so if we can spread the word that we can do this, we can treat you.
All right. Well, guys and ladies, so to find, I will put the link to Dr. Truong's website on there, and don't forget the Dictator special going on right now as well too. And Dr. Truong, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ann.
Always appreciate
Always
it,
a
and
pleasure.
we'll talk to each other soon. And goodbye now,
Take
guys,
care.
and we'll see you at the next episode. Take care.
Bye.